It's a day, the 29th of September. It's the 29th of September. And this may not be the best time to start this video, so you may not even be seeing this. I feel like whenever people say that, you do always end up seeing it, but I guess not all the time. If you see it, you see it. Anyway, off the point. Happy Vlogtober? Question mark? It's September today. I've just been out for a walk. It's really warm. It's like 15 degrees out. I just went out in this, obviously with also trousers on, and I was fine. It's officially turtleneck season, which is big news in my world. I don't know how much I've talked about having a like uniform of clothes that I wear. But in the winter I do just have this same turtleneck from like some sort of like random clothing company in like 8 different colours, and I just wear that with bottoms or that under a dress or with a skirt or something all the time. So we're not fully in I can wear that every day, but we are transitioning from summer uniform to winter uniform. Very exciting. Apologies if you can hear noise outside. There's the construction work that's happening in my neighbourhood, which will just be happening always, as long as I'm living here, I'm convinced. It's very interesting to see things changing outside my window. At the moment there's a huge pile of rubble that is just like, it's maybe like 2 stories high, like it's very tall. So that's interesting. It just keeps getting bigger, and it looks like at some point it's gonna like overtake the trees that are behind it. It's all very poetic. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. What we are here to talk about is that it is almost October, and I did a Vlogtober-ish last year. I think I did like a vlog every week, because Vlogtober and the Westnitz MKAL match up, they're the same. And I think I'd like to do it again this year, but I feel a little like about this YouTube channel, not it existing, just in the kind of videos that I want to make. I think I'm someone who changes what I want all the time, and so I think I got a little bored doing like the same sort of format of videos, so I'm just shaking it up a little bit. So who knows what this is going to be, but I quite liked the like creative challenge of doing one every week. I also am in a very like transitional phase. When am I not in a transitional phase? But I am not teaching this year. That's a whole other thing, and I probably won't go into it on the internet. I'm working part-time as a singing teacher, which I'm loving. So I guess I am teaching, but I'm not teaching English like I was last year. And I'm really, really enjoying that, but it does not fill up a lot of my time. So I am rich in time, not always rich in energy, but maybe we can do something with that time this month. Making videos and making the Westnitz MKAL, which is what I wanted to talk about. Now 4 minutes into the video. Also, hello, if anyone's new and you've made it 4 minutes into this video, my name's Jessica, I live in Edinburgh, and that's about as much information as I can concretely say about my life. I also have a cat who's sat there and is just being really, really cute today. And I also have this like fun top knot situation going on, which I'm kind of loving. A lot of little wispy bits though, so c'est la vie. Anyway, I knit clothes. I'm about to move a guitar, so it might make some noise. We will, oh no, so it's a silently moving guitar. I promise I'm not lying about having a guitar. That's also something that I'm trying to do more of, is play music. I am not a very experienced guitarist, but I am enjoying it, and I'm thinking about also doing some sort of like song challenge over on my Instagram. if I have the like guts, gumption, etc. to do that. So if that would interest you, follow me on Instagram. This is a lovely tote bag that I got from the Perth Yarn Festival, which I went to, and I'm probably not going to talk about loads because it happened a long time ago and I've forgotten. But I had a very nice, if quite tired time. I had maybe like 2 or 3 hours of sleep the night before I went, and the people who I went with were very gracious with me in that day, and helping out with the driving and all that sort of stuff, so that was great. But for anyone who met me on that day, I was a little bit like, woo! But it was lovely to meet people at the Perth Yarn Festival. I did go to a little podcasters meetup. That was fun, exciting. I had a little lanyard. I wonder if it's in here. A little lanyard. Guys, she's a real podcaster. That was a real ego boost, let me tell you. So cheers for that. Everyone who watches, you got me this. Thank you very much. And I also, because I was very tired, broke my no-buy rules. I was trying to do a like no-buy September. That went really well. I feel that going to a yarn festival and saying I'm not going to buy anything is just possibly like unrealistic, and so I would have been better suited, would love to do in the future, slash if you're going to do this, to have actually made a budget, and then I could have had something to stick to rather than just making like really vague financial decisions for the future. But we ended up with a lot of yarn, and I'm okay about that because I have it. It's here. Just take a little water break. I have some sparkling water in here, which is with some ice and a little bit of lemon, because I've not been hydrating enough, and this makes me drink more. That's a fun thing to say. How this links to Vlogtober and to the MKAL, well done if you're still following me, I would like to do, for those of you that don't know, the MKAL is a mystery knit along. If you want to see a little bit more about that, you can watch my playlist of the videos from last year that I did. It's fun being able to say that now, being a year into this whole YouTube gig. And it's run by Stephen West, and it's a mystery shawl pattern. Now, I have probably too many shawls at this point. I think this is something that a lot of knitters run into, because shawls are really fun to knit. They're great for trying out like new techniques, learning new things, and using like really, really beautiful yarns. And I do wear them as scarves, less as like shawls, fine. But I have like a lot, and there are some that I don't wear. So it might be that at some point I kind of go through and get rid of a few. And also, I'm not a huge like Stephen West Designs person. Like, I've not made anything of his other than the MKAL from last year. And while I really enjoyed the process and like the community around it and that everyone was doing it, I did not love the design. Luckily, my mum did, and she has it and wears it a lot, which is really nice. But I'm hoping that this year I can pick like a colour palette that will mean that I will want to keep it. And for that reason, I would like to use some of the yarns that I got from the Perth Yarn Festival. I also got this tote bag at the Perth Yarn Festival. It is the BIPOC and Fibre bag. Amazing organisation, but also incredible tote bag. Like, it has a little pocket, great, and also a flat bottom. So like, just great on all accounts. If you're not following this account, I'll put it down below. And you can follow them. They have a like registry, I don't know if that's quite the right word, database, where you can look up different BIPOC people who work in fibre. That's what it does. And so like, if you're looking for a knitwear footwear photographer or designer, or what are other things that people do related to yarn? Dyeing, that's a huge one. Or yarn shop owner that you want to support or employ or use or just follow on Instagram because what they're doing is really, really cool. This is the organisation. I don't know if you can buy these tote bags anywhere else, but really, really well designed bags. In this bag is all the yarn that I got from Perth Festival of Yarn. Perth Yarn Festival? Festival of Yarn? Who knows? And I'm hoping to use one of these as one of my colours for the mystery knit along. I'd hope to find some that might go together. I also think I overestimated what I had in my stash, because I don't actually have a huge stash, and a lot of it is just like extra, like small bits, which eventually I'll do some sort of like scrappy project with, but not for this. For the MKAL, you need 500 grams of yarn. It's a lot, fingering weight. But to be honest, if you wanted to do it in a different weight, you could, just as long as they were all the same, because it's a shawl, so you can size up and size down, whatever, and just use the size needles that you want to. And it's 2 main colours that kind of have the same sort of colour relationship as one of the Stephen West shawls. I can't remember what it's called. I want to say the Rockefeller. I think the like test for that is kind of like a dark grey and a light grey, so you could have like 2 colours that are kind of the same but different tonally. I assume you all know the trick of like taking a picture of the yarns in like grayscale and seeing if they contrast, to see if you'll get 2 that will get like a high contrast or a low contrast. That's been really useful for me in looking at these to see if I had any that would go together. So you need 2 colours that are like those main colours, and that's 2 skeins of each, or like 200 grams of each, and then you have a bonus colour that's your accent colour that you just need 1 skein of, or 100 grams. So that being said, 12 minutes into Vlogtober, I will not clean any yarn. I might put a little thing in the down below that is just like, here's where the yarn shows up, here's where the rambling stops and the yarn begins. Maybe that could be my new podcast title. That's also something, is I think I'm done with Tiny Needles Knits. Not the concept, just the name. I think going around Perth Yarn Festival and being like, oh, what's your podcast? And I was like, it's Tiny Needles Knits. Like, I don't hate it, but I didn't feel like it represents who I am as a knitter. And it wasn't something that I'd ever want like printed on a little business card. So rebrand, possibly just as Jessica Faith Cooper, that's my name, or as something else. So anyway, what was it that I just said? When the rambling stops. Let me know down in the comments. Just some thoughts. So I bought some yarn and I'm going to try and tell you about it now, and I'm going to hope that the camera will work. Who knows? I had a real green moment. I'm not going to also make a big thing of this because it's over across the room. Maybe I'll show it to you another day, but I finished my shawl that I showed the yarn for in the last podcast episode, which is green. What's the shawl called? Leaves of Grass. I finished my Leaves of Grass shawl. That was green. That was maybe about like, probably like 400 or 500 grams of green yarn. So I've had a real green moment, but clearly 2 hours sleep me was also really into green when we went to the yarn festival. So I've ended up with like a lot of green yarn. I'm thinking that the green yarn might be a sweater. Anyway, really just holding you on the edge here and not showing you anything. This is the first yarn that I bought. Look at that. It's green, just like I said. This is from Needle and Thread. At the festival, they had a table that was like the merch table that had a lot of yarn from like vendors who couldn't be there because of like distance issues or health issues or just various different reasons. And they were selling their yarn kind of like on their behalf. And I hadn't seen this the whole time that I'd been around the festival, and I walked past it on my way out, like after they'd already rung the bell and been like, time's over, get out of here. And I think I ended up buying like 5 skeins of yarn because I was just like, oh, these are beautiful. And I had to like make a really quick decision and buy them there or not buy them at all. And this was one of those. and it is the Perfection colorway, so it's for the festival as well, which I think that really helps when you're like, oh, I can only get it here. Yeah, clever marketing. And also it's beautiful. Look at that. I love a green. I used to wear a lot of green and I've really like phased it out, so maybe I'm phasing it back in. Maybe that's what's happening. It's a fingering weight. It's 75% Blueface Leicester and 25% nylon, so like your classic sock. It's quite soft. Not like, wow, that's so soft, but definitely not soft. That's a good explanation. And I really don't know that much about this yarn dye at all. It says it's made in Manchester. That's great. So I got one skein of this in this yarn base. I got 2 skeins of the same colorway in a different base, which is mohair. And I'm not a huge mohair person, but I just thought these were great. I loved it. It's the same colorway, Perfection, on 72% kid mohair, 28% mulberry silk. Hopefully that makes up 100%. And I'd say that's pretty accurate representation of the colour. There we go. It's a mohair. It's a 50 gram. I mean, that's why I bought 2. I don't know. But the yardage is this yardage is the same as this yardage. So I don't know why I then bought 2, but decisions were made. There are 420 meters in each, and this is 425 meters. So I could pair like this together and do something. I think I probably wouldn't knit with the mohair on its own. I'm making a cloud bow top. I don't know if I've shown it, but I started it in colors that I don't really love, but I just wanted to like try just knitting with mohair, and like it's fun. I don't know how much I would wear it. So I think probably this is like to be paired with something, because I'm really enjoying like other people's jumpers at the moment with the like mohair paired with something look. I have a sweater that I did mohair paired with something and I really like it, but it was quite a tight gauge and it was just stockinette stitch. So I think I'd like to try something that's a bit of a looser gauge and more like textured with this. So my thoughts is to pair this with another yarn, possibly this yarn from Fly Dyed, another green. She loves green. I spent so long at the Fly Dyed table, I don't know, station, because all of the yarns were so pretty and I didn't know which ones to buy. And I also was really, really hoping that I could find something there that I would be able to use in the MKAL. But I think a lot of the yarns were on like worsted or Aran weight bases. There weren't that many in fingering when I got there. And this was like the last few hours of the festival. I went on the last day. So possibly Rachel the dyer had more. I'm pretty sure that your name is Rachel. My apologies if you're watching and your name is not Rachel. I can visualize your little badge. There's some amazing badges on. Very cool. I can't remember what I was saying before. There are not loads of fingering weights, but lots of incredible colours. There was one that was on like a zebra base. Like, you all know the one that's like, it's got the 2 plies, they're different colours, and then it's like hand dyed. And I really, really wanted to pick that as my like accent colour, but it was DK. So the yardage would have been enough, and there was only one, and I was like, because it was really beautiful. But I bought this, which I also love, and is green, and is fingering weight. It's quite a heavy fingering weight, like it's a lot thicker than this one. Like I don't know if you can see that. Not a lot thicker, but like it is a little bit thicker. And the colours are obviously a little bit different. This one, the colourway for this one is called Gentrified Green Spaces, which was part of the Urban collection. It says May 2022. So one off, or not one off, two off at least, probably more than two off. It is 85% polydill, 15% nylon, 400 meters per skein, which probably does mean that it is a little heftier because this is 425 meters for 100 grams. So this is like a little bit more airy, or not more airy, just bigger words. I don't know how much more to say about this, except that I am wondering about using this for the MKAL, but I'm also wondering about pairing it with this for like a kind of cropped sweater number. I don't know if you can make a sweater with 800 meters of yarn, but maybe if I also used this for like the collar, the band, and the like cuffs, and then just use this for the middle, because then it's like 400 grams of yarn, which I have made a sweater with before. TBD, but that's my thought, is to maybe mix all those together. Let me know what you think. And also in here is some leftovers from the Lisa grass shawl. So that could also be used. So I could kind of bulk it out a little bit with that if I needed to. All very different shades of green, but I think it could work. And also I think what I like about green is that it holds so many other colors, if that makes sense. Like, you know, this really dips into like brown, whereas like this, well, this one does dip into gray for the like gentrified aspect of the green spaces, although I can't find the section that has, there you go, there's some grey on like that section there. And like this one, again, really dips into kind of like yellows and browns. So you're getting a lot in there. It's like looking into a forest where you just get all that glorious nature. So these may become a sweater, but also these could possibly be part of the MKAL. Don't know. These are some yarns. I was going to put them on my bed, but the spot where I usually put my yarn after I've done it is Graham just being adorable. Let me show you. I'm sorry, but look at this cat. She's like a little donut. Anyway, so those were all in another green purchase that I made from Midwinter Yarns, who is based in Scotland somewhere, I think, and has a lot of like Scandi yarns available in their shop to buy. I took a business card because I was like, I will definitely be like pulling from this to make some sort of sweater. I was like, this is like a sweater quantity type of situation. And I don't think you should be making sweater quantity decisions on 2 hours of sleep. So I didn't. Wise. She did make some wise decisions while I was there. But what I did buy was a project bag, because while the yarn is buyable online, the project bags are not like one-off completely, but they are kind of one-off in that, I can't remember the name of the person who was running the stall, but the person who makes the bags, who runs Midwinter Yarns, or one of the, I think it's run by 2 people. The person that makes these bags said they're made from offcuts. So like they don't always know what fabric they're gonna get through to use, which is also great because it's like making use of extra fabric that's available, and I love that. So I got this project bag. It's oilcloth green, and then the inside is just, it's striped, it's rainbow. And I really like it, and I'd wanted like an oilcloth bag for ages. I'd seen loads on Etsy and like people using them. I just think they're great. You can see kind of a line there because I've had it folded over, kind of like this just fold it over and then fold it over another time. And because it's stiff, it kind of holds like a bucket, so I can put it on the floor next to, if I'm knitting in a chair, or on the sofa next to me, and I can put yarns in it. It's been quite good for like just balls that are rolling around. Like I have a ball winder and Swift, but I've been winding a lot of my yarn like this recently just because I quite enjoy it. Just doing it by hand into a little ball, and then that's quite good to be in here because it can roll around and nothing bad happens. And it also has 2 internal pockets which are green. I think it is just the 2 pockets. Oh no, there's also, it's like 2 big pockets, and then there's kind of like a pencil sized or like needle sized pocket in the middle. And then it closes. Sorry, you can hear all my little emails coming through. Just getting loads of spam like this. And then it clips together. Like that. I don't know how much you all needed to know that, but that's how the bag closes. I'm a big fan. There are more of these available if you would like to buy one. They just won't be exactly like this one, but they are all beautiful. And I think actually they've just released a new line of ones that are like made with tartan scraps. Very cool. So check them out. This has become an accidental haul. I wasn't gonna do a haul, but now we're doing a haul, so you're all welcome. You're all welcome. This is a project bag. It's empty because it was holding my leaves of grass shawl, and I think that I will use it for my MKAL once I decide what colours I'm using. That's the plan. That is the plan. Right. You'll be lucky to know that there's only 2 more colours of yarn in here. Well, there are actually 3 different colours of yarn, but one of them I did not buy at the Perth Festival, but I am considering it for my MKAL, so it's in there. Before I do that, I will show you this magazine, which I'd forgotten about because it was in this bag, and I've not read it yet, so I'm gonna take it out and put it by my bed so I actually read it. This is the Yarn and Stitch book, and it is from Yarningham, the Birmingham Yarn Festival. And they produced this, I think, the year that they couldn't meet in person, and wanted to kind of have something that was a record of that time and was kind of a physical representation. I'm just scanning to make sure that that is indeed correct. Yeah, so they had a virtual event. Here we go. I'll just read you the introduction and then you'll know what it is, and you can look at this lovely cover image while I read it. I can't hold it like that and read it, but hold that in your mind. It says, Yarningham is the UK's only black lead fibre event, which in normal circumstances takes place each year in Birmingham, the UK's 2nd largest city. I didn't know that. That's wild. There you go. So why the magazine, you may ask? I was indeed asking. Then it says a little bit more about how it's COVID. We all remember COVID. The team of organisers created a virtual event which did happen in July 2021, and then they also wanted to kind of have something that was a physical keepsake, and so they produced Yarn and Stitch, which has patterns, articles, really nice graphic design, just enjoyable images, and yeah, some different patterns, which I will look at. Oh, and there's Rachel from Fly Dyed, who made this. There you go. It all comes together. I'm gonna put that and read it. Oh, there's a little colouring sheet. I'm not gonna give away too much because then you might not, I don't know if you can buy it, but that's why I ended up buying it, is that I was just flicking through and I was like, I am gonna stand here and read this for the whole festival instead of actually going around and shopping. So I was like, I'll pay so I can take it away and read it at home, which I will now do. That's in the bag. What else is in here? Oh, some other little flyers. that was a yarn that I clearly intended to buy in the future. I picked up a little slip from them. What else have I got? This was the card from Midwinter Yarns, we've already talked about. 5 fiber pin. This was also from the fly dyed stall. It says by Stitchwell. You can't really read it. Which, as a queer person, I was like, yes, I will buy this. Then I also was like, I feel people also use this term to talk about people who both knit and crochet, and I don't crochet. I mean, I can, so I guess it kind of counts, but I don't like to. Which, not worlds away from my sexuality, so actually maybe that's the correct badge for me. What else have we got in here? More cards, Midwinter again, that one we've already talked about. Oh, these were lovely. Sakami yarns in Edinburgh. I took this thing because I was like, I can't make decisions about this right now, but in the future. And also, this was a farm, Anfield Farm, that had come, and they had like pictures of the sheep. That it was very wholesome. It was a very wholesome event. And they were like, oh, you can come and like see the farm anytime. So maybe that'll be in my future. I'm trying to think if there's anything else before I show you the rest of the yarns. There's not. So yarn time. I also like how this was going to be like a little Vlogtober introduction, and now it is a 30-minute episode of something. So we've not even talked about the MKAL. We've a little bit talked about the MKAL. This colour, Hello. It's another fly dyed. It's called Carrie, which it's after the film Carrie, because it's the colour of We All Know. I was like, oh, is it, what's the title about? And they're like, Carrie, and I was like the film? And then I was like, oh, okay. Appreciated. Also, I've not ever seen the film. Maybe I should watch the film if I make something with this, or if I decide what I want to make with this. I really wanted this to be my accent colour for the Twists and Turns MKAL. But it is not enough yardage, and I don't want to risk running out. It's only 300 meters, it's 100 grams. It's 82% alpaca, 13% merino, and 5% nylon. It's like, the texture is just amazing. I mean, it's just got all these tiny little loops, and I'm obsessed, and the color is, whew. So I don't know what this is going to be, but something very special. Unfortunately not my accent color, because it's not the right amount of meters. And 2 hours of sleep me didn't bother to look up, was just like, oh, 100 grams, fine, it won't be right. So that'll go with all my green, because like this, very different, but I don't think actually either of those are going to be in it. I think what I might use as my one Perth item that will make it into the MKAL, and actually as I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, but it's so nice. What if I think what my problem is that because it's a mystery knit along, I don't know what it's gonna be, so I don't know if I'll like it, and I don't want to put, like, frankly, I don't want to put expensive yarn into something that I don't know whether I'm going to like, which I think is a lot of people's problems with the MKAL, and a lot of people's like contradictions, conundrum, problem, where like but also on the flip side, you spend so much time on it because it's so technique heavy, that you put a lot of time and effort into it, and so you want it to be really nice, so you want to pick yarn that you love, but you also don't know if you're gonna like it. I guess I can always unravel, but it's so hard to unravel color work as well, like when you know it's gonna be color work. I guess I could always just start and see how we go. I don't know. I have already bought the MKAL pattern, so whether or not I cast it on, I will be getting the pattern to maybe make in the future. I know some people like wait till the end and then see if they like it and then decide whether to make it or not, but for me that would, I'm like, then why am I making it? Why am I not just making a pattern that I know that I will like, which probably wouldn't be a West Knits pattern. But this is the colour. It is by Blue Dot Yarn, who I don't know anything about, but it was on the merch table, and it is called Not So Blue. So it's very related to the name, I guess. Really matches my shirt today, actually. And it is a 100% superwash merino. This is very soft. I think earlier when I was like, oh, this is soft, but it's not like soft, it was because I was comparing it to this, which is like a cloud. I can only imagine how much softer it will be after blocking. And it's a lovely colour. Like, it's really it's just nice. It's very calming. I don't wear a lot of blue, although I am wearing blue today, and I do have blue eyes. So I think I was listening to a TikTok recently about Gilmore Girls and how they picked the like jackets that they wore in, what was the name of it? Chilton, the school where Rory went, because Alexis, what's her face, who plays Rory, had blue eyes, and they wanted the particular shade to be like one that would bring out her particular shade of blue eyes. And I was like, wow, that's wild. Because both her and Lauren Graham had very blue eyes, apparently. Not something I'd ever really noticed before, but now I can't stop looking. I'm thinking about whether I should be making/wearing more blue because of my blue eyes. So I think that this, I have 2 skeins of it, sorry to be clear, I have 2 skeins, might be the linchpin on which my MKAL comes together. Because all the other yarns that I bought, I think might be better off in other projects, e.g. my mohair fly-dyed sweater of dreams. And this is just really pretty. And I think it is, like, I don't know what else I would use it for. Probably I would just make like a scarf or a shawl with these 2 skeins. That was like a quite simple pattern, very like gentle knitter vibes, very like, just like some nice texture. But I think it would be good in the MKAL. But that leaves us with the problem, which is what I wanted to talk about in this video, is I don't know what to put with it. I have looked in my stash and I do not have 200 grams of fingering weight in anything, in one colour. I have some fingering weight yarn in other colours, in 100 gram skeins, although again, only like 1 or 2. And one that I pulled that I thought might work, I'm now kind of not, I think probably I won't use this, but I'm going to show you anyway. And that is now the end of the bag. This is the end. We're coming into land with whatever this podcast episode is this naturally dyed skein. Yeah, it's dyed with onion skins by Wool Matters Fibre Company that I bought from Alternate Universe Knit Shop, which I'm sure I've talked about before. That's Kim's shop in Bristol. Anyway, I've never been to the actual shop, and one day I will go, but I've followed on Instagram for as long as I've been an adult human, like I think since her blog days. Like, I mean, I can't even remember, like a long time I've followed Kim on the internet. And now that there's the yarn shop, and it's this one, and I bought this from it with the idea of making socks because I was very into the colour yellow and also socks at that time. Now I've kind of gone off the colour yellow and also socks. So I wondered whether this might work as my accent colour. It's fingering weight, it's a lot sheepier than this, or I don't know what I mean when it's rougher. This is softer than this, which is fine. It is 100% Shetland, 100% Shetland, and then it's got an X Romney Lamb's Wool. How can it be 100% two things? It's those things in here. It's the fibre is source spun and botanically dyed by hand in the UK. So very much like ethical values, which I appreciate. And a lovely colour and a very nice yarn, and I think would make excellent socks. It's also like a no nylon sock, which I've been wanting to try more of. I think that was also why I bought it, is I bought this one and another like wool/linen sock that was like a no nylon sock blend, to try some no nylon socks, because this is when I was having my like, I never want to knit with West Yorkshire spinners ever again, because I was fed up and I'd made too many West Yorkshire spinners socks. I was done, so I bought this, but I don't love it. So I think that this combo is a no, although I think it's not terrible. Blue goes with yellow, but I think what I want is to go with quite a simple or quite a restricted colour palette, so that when the pattern is inevitably absolutely unhinged, which it will be because it's Stephen West, it may still be something that is wearable for me, a not hugely out there person when it comes to like bright bold colours. I tried my bright bold colours era. I gave it a bash. Sometimes it's for me, but I think mostly I'm a simple girl when it comes to colours. Sometimes not. We contain multitudes, but right now the idea of knitting something that's like very this sort of bold contrast, like it's not a huge, for some people they'd be like, this is quite tame, but I think I just am not feeling it, so that's reason enough. But it has reminded me that I have this, which would actually maybe make like a really nice, just wrap it around my neck, a nice like small scarf item, or like a hat, or a pair of gloves, or some socks, or some leg warmers. Can we make leg warmers fashionable again? I hope so. I really hope so. But what I think that I will do with this, and the more that I'm talking about it, the more I'm like, yes, this is my MKAL colour, is that I've been wanting to try for ages and ages and ages Mondine by Retrosaria. We all know it. You may not know it. I also like don't want to feed into that yarn podcast knitter thing where it's like, oh, we all have this information, because we don't all have this information. Sometimes we have different points of information. Those of you that do not know, Mondine by Retrosaria is a yarn. Like, how much information can I say about this? It's a fingering weight yarn, it's a sock yarn, it's no nylon. Mixed reviews on whether it's good for socks. I think some people love it, swear by it. Some people, instant holes, like they wear the socks like day one, there's holes in it. So because of that mixed reviews, I'm like, I don't think I want to make socks with it. But people tend to really, really like the yarn, and people who like yarns that I like tend to really like this yarn. I think it's like a good blend of like soft and sheepy, which is kind of my like sweet spot. And it's not that expensive. It's like £10 for 100 grams. So like, it's not acrylic prices, but it's pretty reasonable. I also realised that I didn't say prices for any of the yarn that I've bought. You can look it up in the display. That sounded rude. I didn't want it to be. It's not intended to be rude. The information will be down below rather than me going through it all again now. I'll just pop it there. Remember when it used to be here? Or here? Those were the days. What a time. The time when I wanted to be YouTubing, but I wasn't, because I was 16 and afraid to put myself on the internet, but here we are now. Where was I going with this? I'm thinking of picking a Mondine colour to go with this. It's not easy to get Mondim in the UK. Like, it exists. You can buy it, places carry it, but obviously they only stock up occasionally, so like trying to get like a particular colour isn't always that possible. I did find like a navy, which I think is what I want one of the other colours to be. Basically, what I'm thinking is to do 3 different shades of blue. 2 that are closer to each other and 1 that's a bit more out there as the like accent colour. Kind of the colour relationship that is in like Rockefeller, where it's like a dark grey and a light grey, but then with like an accent. So I'm hoping to find kind of 3 different like blue shades, or 2 more other blue shades to go with it. I also don't have, I was gonna say I don't have any blue shawls. That's not true. I do have a blue shawl, because I was just putting my blue shawls like out of their plastic bag where they stay for the summer, into their little box where I now have them so that I can actually access them and wear them. And I do have like a small blue shawl that I made out of like 100 grams of Malabrigo that I got maybe like 10 years ago as a Christmas present. And that is, I really like that. It's a nice shawl. It's incredibly soft. It's quite small, but like it doesn't hold the same place as like a big kind of like wraparound shawl. It's like very delicate. It's 100 grams, like it's small. So a big blue scarfy type shawl, fingers crossed, that's what we get with the MKAL. Like, please give me a scarfy shawl. Would be really nice. So I'm thinking of getting some shades of Mondim, possibly. I might get like something from my local yarn shop for the accent colour, just to make it like a little fun. I like the idea of it being kind of yarn with a bit of a story behind it. I think the MKAL is quite special, and it's nice to like make it more special by putting like things that mean something to you specifically into it, especially when it's something you're going to be putting a lot of work and effort into. So it's nice to have something from Perth, maybe something from Edinburgh, and then maybe Mondim that I've wanted to try for a while. So that's my Perth yarn haul that I didn't mean to do, and my thoughts on the MKAL. What are your thoughts on the MKAL? I feel very classic YouTuber when you're like, gotta end with a question for the audience, but I would genuinely like to know what you're all doing. I really didn't think that I was going to do it this year, but then just when I saw everyone planning for it, and like the people that I made it with last year were like posting about it again, I was like, it's too fun. And now I see why people do it year after year after year. So count me in. Year 2 MKAL, let's go. Tell me what you're doing down below, and thanks for watching through this, which I think is ended up being like 40 minutes, and was supposed to only be like a little quick vloggy video, and it's not been vloggy at all. You've just been sat here with me at my desk. I don't know if I can show you, that's my towel. You don't need to see my towel. On the other side, I have a new little book, there we go, a little book caddy that I'm very pleased with. I just wanted to show you, so that's it. I think I will come back to you either when I have all my yarns. I won't be ordering them for a while. Well, I'll order them before the project, but I might take a while to decide what I want to do. So I will update you when there's something worth updating you on. And I hope you've all had a lovely summer and are just having a nice wee day, and you're hydrating in whatever way you need to. Metaphorically, spiritually, literally. Catch you later.